Pisces, welcome to your astrology reading for the month of August. So before I jump into the energy of the month, and we do have a lot happening as usual, this is most applicable for your rising sign, your sun sign, and your moon sign. And so your rising sign is how other people perceive you, especially when they first meet you. Your sun sign is how you express yourself. And then your moon sign is how you process everything internally through that emotional lens. And so you can kind of see how understanding all three will give you that holistic picture on how the month is going to play out for you. But jumping into the energy in the month of August, so we have a lot of Leo energy, not surprised there. But then we also have Mercury stationing retrograde. And so there is a list of planets that are already retrograde. We have Pluto in Aquarius, Saturn in Pisces, Neptune in Pisces, and Chiron, even though it's an asteroid, it's also retrograde in the sign of Aries. So jumping into the energy of the month here, we have the new moon in Leo. So that is going to happen on August 4th at 7:13 in the morning Eastern time. And so when this happens, you've got the sun and the moon, they're at the same degree point in the sky, which means easy blend of energy, overlapping energy here. And so the sun likes to highlight and express what it's feeling, what it's thinking. And with the moon, and now it is your feelings here. And so highlighting your feelings, expressing your feelings here. For you, the Leo energy occupies your sixth house. So this is your daily life. Daily life meaning all of those things that you do on a regular basis. So think about like your health and wellness program, or any kind of like diet program that you're following, your normal routines, not like those one-off parties, but work life, home life, whatever you do on a regular basis here. So that's all embodied within that sixth house. And so expressing yourself and how you feel about your daily life being highlighted here. During this new moon, there will also be a sextile to both Mars and Jupiter in the sign of Gemini. So the sun and moon, because again, they're at the same degree point. So they're talking to Mars in Gemini, Jupiter in Gemini. Gemini occupies your fourth house of home. And so if there's some sort of action that you want to take at home, some sort of growth, expansion, think along the lines of maybe buying a new home, renovating a home, expanding it in some sort of way here. There's something about the way that you feel about your daily life, expressing yourself in your daily life creates this opportunity for you to do something at home. Take some sort of action that helps grow or expand something connected to your home or your home life. This sun and moon in Leo will also trine the north node in Aries. And so the north node is an eclipse point. So we have the north and south nodes. We're in Aries Libra eclipse season. The north node is the action that we're required to take. I mean, this is a fated action. This is something that is going to happen here. And so something around the way that you're expressing yourself in your daily life, how you feel about all of it, it's going to easily align with whatever action that you're taking when it comes to your personal finances. Again, there's something really fated about the action that you're taking here because it is a north node energy in the sign of Aries, and it is sitting in your house of personal finances. So this would be the money that you already have. Think of along the lines of an investment strategy that you have, financial security in general. So maybe what you value. There might be other things that also have some sort of significant value. Like if you have a collectible, let's say art collection, that increases in value, that would be something that's occupied and contained within your second house. And so it's not just about cold hard cash or the money that's sitting in your bank account. It would be the other things that also have some value here. And on the same day, we'll have Venus enter the sign of Leo. So that's going to happen at 10:23 in the evening, Eastern time. And so when this happens, you have Venus conjunct Mercury, both in the sign of Virgo. Virgo occupies your seventh house. And so these are your significant relationships. Your spouse, if you're married, or that type of relationship. So if you're living with somebody, it would be that significant relationship here. Virgo energy is a very healing type of energy. Venus likes to bring things together. Venus is also the ruler of relationships here. And so this Venus conjunct Mercury, it looks like there might be healing conversations happening with your significant other, a coming together type of conversation. How do we deepen the connection? What do we need to do here? How do we grow, kind of develop, and maybe heal something here within the relationship? Venus in Virgo will also trine Chiron in Aries. And so Chiron in Aries, so Chiron is retrograde in the sign of Aries. It is the wounded, it's a wound. In Aries, So you're required to take some sort of action here, but when it comes to your personal finances, as I'm trying to think of like a wound connected to your personal finances, there might be something where, like, let's say you grew up poor and you have this thing about wanting to create some sort of financial security for yourself. This would be something that you're trying to do. This would be a wound connected to your personal finances that you would want to address. It's like, how do I know when enough is enough? How do I know when I've reached the point of having enough in my savings to account for all of these unexpected things so that I don't lose my house or I don't end up on the street somehow, whatever happens here. And so whatever conversations you're having with your significant other, these healing type of conversations, bringing things together, it's actually going to help heal this wound as it relates to any kind of financial security. Venus in Virgo will also square Uranus in the sign of Taurus. And so there are changes that are taking place, maybe connected to your communication style with that third house energy. So Taurus occupies your third house. Uranus is sudden change. So there might be changes happening here. If it is about maybe home and home environment, because we saw that with the new moon in Leo, if you're thinking about moving to maybe a different location, this can indicate that there might be an obstacle or challenge to something around moving to a nearby location, because that third house energy is short distance travel. It would be something that you can get to by car. So it would be living in a neighboring community or something along those lines. But there's some sort of obstacle or challenge here when it comes to working on something with your significant other. So it just seems like maybe now's not the right time. If you're thinking about moving to a different location, there might be other things that are taking place connected to your home environment where you are taking some sort of action. It feels like if there's any kind of sudden change around you or nearby, or even connected to your communication, it just feels like now's not the right time to work with that energy. I'm really hung up on, there are so many different topics that are embodied within this third house and trying to relate it back to your significant relationship here. There could be changes that are taking place in your communication style, and maybe that just doesn't really work with what you're trying to express and what you're trying to do within that committed relationship. Then we have Mercury station retrograde in the sign of Virgo. So that's going to happen on the 5th at 12:56 in the morning Eastern time. So it's literally hours after Venus enters the sign of Virgo. Mercury stations retrograde. So Mercury and Venus are still conjunct, so an easy blend of energy. But now Mercury is internal because it's gone retrograde. So now any kind of communication, anything that you were thinking about, now everything is directed internally. And so when you're thinking about your relationship, because it's all sitting in that 7th house, it's about, okay, well, what do I need to do in order to maybe fix this relationship or work on this relationship, create some sort of harmonious balance within this connection? And so there's a lot of internal processing that's taking place. Mercury retrograde in Virgo will also square Mars in Gemini. And so if there's some sort of action that you want to take connected to your home or your home environment, your internal reflection on your relationship here, it's creating obstacles or challenges to actually taking some sort of action. Again, a square, you can work with the energy. You would just have to find a way to work through the energy here. And then Mercury retrograde in Virgo will square Uranus in the sign of Taurus. And so just like we've seen, if there is some sort of change taking place here, so it could be about moving to a different neighborhood, and it could be something as simple as you don't agree on where you would want to live. That would be something here with a Mars and Gemini, Uranus and Taurus type of energy, that there might be some sort of communication conflict around changes that are taking place. Regardless, any kind of internal reflection that is taking place here, it's creating an obstacle or challenge. You can work with the energy. We're actually going to see that Uranus and Taurus challenging type of energy show up throughout the month. It's not until we get to the end of the month that it's a little bit easier to work with. Then I have a note in here about Lionsgate, just because Lionsgate is on August 8th. So it's always in the sign of Leo. It's Lion, Leo, Lion. It's 8/8. So that's the culmination point. We're in an 8-year, 2024 is an 8-year. And so I'm going to do a separate video on the topic, and it's probably going to be more of an extension of the daily read that I do. So I just wanted to note that here, that it is on my radar. It's just not something that I'm focusing on for these astrology forecast reviews. So I'm going to jump back and talk about Mercury retrograde here for a minute. So it went retrograde in the sign of Virgo on the 5th. But because Mercury's retrograde, it actually slides back into the sign of Leo. That happens on the 14th at 8:16 in the evening Eastern time. And so when this happens, we have Mercury retrograde in Leo conjunct the sun in Leo. And so when you think about the sun, you're expressing yourself. Mercury retrograde, you're internally understanding all of this. This is all sitting in your daily life. So when you think about whatever is happening in your daily life, however you're expressing yourself on a regular basis here, there's an understanding on the impact of that communication, of the way that you're expressing yourself here. And so just that internal reflection completely aligns with it. You're really understanding the true impact. Mercury retrograde will also trine the moon in Sagittarius. For you, Sagittarius occupies your 10th house. Sagittarius is big picture. It is the teacher kind of energy. 10th house, career and public reputation. So however you feel about your work environment and your career and the path that you're on, understanding it all from that big picture perspective, it's going to easily blend with understanding how your daily life has an impact here. Understanding the way that you've been communicating and the impact of that, and feeling like it aligns with the career and that trajectory that you're on from that perspective. Mercury retrograde in Leo will also trine Chiron in Aries. So Chiron is the wounded healer. When it's direct, those wounds are really beneath the surface. But because Chiron is retrograde, that wound has been coming to the surface. And we've really seen that wound coming to the surface over the last few months since that eclipse in the sign of Aries, that solar eclipse on April 8th. That's when we really started noticing this. And now over, I would say really in July and August, we're seeing a lot of energy on how to heal that wound. And so when it comes to your daily life, the way that you've been expressing yourself, understanding how that's impacting you is also helping to heal some sort of wound here. And that wound is connected to your personal finances or the things that you value. So there is an easy blend of energy here. It's helping you understand what action you need to take in order to keep healing that wound that came to the surface. And then Mercury retrograde will also square Uranus in the sign of Taurus. And so just like we've been seeing, there are obstacles and challenges. So whatever you're internally processing as it relates to your daily life and how that impacts you, it's creating challenges to any kind of changes that are taking place, maybe from a communication standpoint, maybe from like a neighboring type of standpoint where it's different communities surrounding you. So there might be just these external changes that might be difficult to navigate right now or challenging to navigate because you're really focused on these internal changes that are taking place, internal reflection that is happening here. And then we have the full moon in the sign of Aquarius. So that happens on the 19th at 2:26 in the afternoon Eastern time. And so when this happens, you've got the sun and you've got the moon. They're at opposite points in the sky here. And so the sun in Leo is all about expressing yourself. We've got the moon in Aquarius. So how do you feel about the collective? Because that's the energy. It's a very opposing type of energy. You can find the happy medium. You just have to work with it. So for you, we've got the sun in Leo in your 6th house. We've got the moon in Aquarius in your 12th house. Your 6th house is your daily life. 12th house is your subconscious. So there's an internal and external component to this as well. And so the way that you're expressing yourself in your daily life is opposite around how you feel about yourself. I could see this as something where maybe the way that you're expressing yourself in your daily life is establishing some sort of routine. Well, Aquarius energy doesn't like routines. It is the rebel of the zodiac. It doesn't like structure or anything like that. It wants to remain flexible. And so that would be something that would be an opposing type of energy. So that could be one of those hypotheticals here. And just like we see with any full moon, we've got the sun and the moon having different conversations with the planets that surround it. And so during this full moon, the sun will conjunct Mercury retrograde in the sign of Leo. So the sun and Mercury both in Leo. So a lot of energy sitting in your 6th house, your daily life, the way that you're expressing yourself, the way that you feel about that, the impact of it, all of it is just really kind of a part of your understanding. Whereas the moon in Aquarius is opposite this energy. And so how you feel about yourself internally and just who you are is opposite the way that maybe you've been expressing yourself and the way that you kind of think about the way that you've been expressing yourself. The sun in Leo will also trine Chiron in Aries. And so the way that you've been expressing yourself in your daily life is helping you take some sort of action to heal that wound connected to your personal finances. So think of it as like a security type of blanket, a financial security, something along those lines. It's just giving you another way to kind of help heal that wound that has been coming to the surface. The moon in Aquarius will sextile Chiron in Aries, which means how you feel about yourself internally is also going to give you an opportunity. And so this is an opportunity you would need to action, but it's an opportunity to take additional steps to heal this wound connected to your personal finances or your financial security. And then we have both the sun and the moon. They're actually in a T-square with Uranus in the sign of Taurus. And so each one of these individually is creating some sort of obstacle or challenge. And so the way that you're expressing yourself in your daily life is creating challenges to those changes that are taking place within that third house. So it could be the way that you're communicating, changes that are happening there. It could be within the community itself, changes that are happening there. Moon in Aquarius, how you feel about yourself internally is also creating challenges to those topics, where it could be the community around you, like where you live, your neighbors, things like that. It could be the way that you're communicating. And so it's a challenging energy. You can find a way to work with it. You do just have to find a way to work with it if that's something that you choose to do. You don't have to. It does get a little bit easier at the end of the month. And then we have the moon in Aquarius will trine both Mars and Jupiter in the sign of Gemini. And so Mars and Jupiter in Gemini, they're in your fourth house of home. And so however you feel about yourself internally fully aligns with whatever action you want to take with your home, any kind of growth or expansion that you want to experience with your home. So if you're thinking about moving, going down that path, this would be something easy blend of energy. If you want to do any kind of house renovation projects that maybe increase the value of your home or put an addition onto your home, that kind of energy. Then we have the sun enter Virgo. So that happens on the 22nd at 10:55 in the morning Eastern time. And so when this happens, we will have sun in Virgo conjunct Mercury retrograde in Leo. So the sun in Virgo is a very private energy. This is the hermit in tarot. So this is about taking that step back, going inside, thinking things through. It's a very analytical sign. It is also healing. So the analysis that's happening internally isn't just to process the information. It is about healing something here, some sort of wound or something. So when the sun is in Virgo, it is about expressing kind of those innermost thoughts and feelings, maybe some sort of healing that is taking place here. Mercury retrograde in Leo is sitting in your daily life. That sun in Virgo is in your house of personal relationships here. So you might be expressing yourself and like the real depth of yourself with your significant other, and it's going to easily blend with whatever you're feeling about your daily life, whatever you're interpreting from the way that you communicate, maybe any kind of it's really the way that you're communicating here. So you're taking in all this information around maybe whatever's happening in your daily life, and it's helping you really speak up and speak out and express those innermost thoughts and feelings in a way that feels really healing with your significant other. And we have the sun in Virgo trine Chiron in Aries. And so expressing that innermost piece of yourself, those innermost thoughts and feelings and maybe healing journey, it's going to easily blend with whatever action that you're trying to take to heal that wound connected to your personal finances. So again, if you've been afraid of maybe not having enough in your savings account, whatever conversations are taking place with your significant other, completely helping the situation here. It's giving you that ability to take additional action to heal that wound. And then the sun in Virgo will square Uranus in the sign of Taurus. And so expressing your innermost self with your significant other does create challenges to whatever changes are taking place here. Again, could be connected to your communication. So it might be, and I keep trying to think of a hypothetical around your communication. So even as I was writing this out, I was struggling to think of a hypothetical there, but there could be changes happening within your neighborhood. That's a third house energy. And so there might be changes taking place that are external to you that just don't seem to be the priority right now. The priority is focused on yourself and your daily life and your significant other and the healing that is taking place when it comes to that personal financial wound. And then on the 28th, we have Mercury station direct. So that is going to happen at 5:14 in the afternoon Eastern time. And so when Mercury stations direct, Mercury will trine Chiron in Aries. And so Mercury Leo, Chiron Aries, lots of fire energy happening here. And so now, instead of internally processing the way that you're expressing yourself in your daily life, now you're actually expressing yourself in your daily life. These would be outward conversations that you're having on a regular basis. And that is helping to heal and allowing you to take additional action to heal that wound connected to your personal finances. Mercury in Leo will sextile both Mars and Jupiter in the sign of Gemini. And so expressing yourself, having conversations in your daily life, whatever has been transpiring for you, it's creating an opportunity here for you to take some sort of action in your home environment. This would be action that is meant to grow, expand, and grow and expand doesn't have to mean a physical structure. That could just mean something that you're doing to increase the value of your home. That would absolutely be Jupiter energy. This is an action required type of energy. Mars does require you to take some sort of action, but so does sextile. So it's an opportunity you can seize. And then we have Mercury in Leo square Uranus in the sign of Taurus. And so expressing yourself in your daily life does create additional challenges here to any kind of changes that might be taking place outside of you. Could be, again, with your neighbors, siblings, maybe the people around you, things like that. But it's an energy that you can work with. And in fact, we start to see it get a little bit better the next day. And that's when Venus enters the sign of Libra. So that's going to happen on the 29th at 9:23 in the morning Eastern time. And so when Venus enters the sign of Libra, first, Venus rules Libra. So Venus rules relationships. Libra is all about relationships. It's all about balance. Venus also emphasizing what you value here within relationships. And so this trine Uranus and Taurus. And so Libra for you is sitting in your 8th house of transformation. This is the house of death and rebirth. This is the house of other people's money. So think of the money you get from a job, your spouse's income, any kind of inheritance. This could also be debt. So there's some sort of balancing that is taking place. It could be connected to your income, just because I'm seeing a lot connected to your personal finances here. And so this could be connected to the money you earn or any kind of debt that you owe, like a mortgage or something along those lines. It's going to easily blend with whatever changes are taking place. And so when you think about your neighbors, your siblings, things like that, there is an easy flow of energy here as you're trying to kind of balance that money, those external finances. This Venus and Libra energy will also trine Pluto retrograde in Aquarius. And so Aquarius for you, sitting in your 12th house, that's the house of the subconscious. So that's your internal you. Pluto is the house, it's the planet of transformation. Venus and Libra is in the house of transformation. And so Pluto retrograde indicates that you are making some sort of changes internally to yourself. And these are liberating type of changes. It's breaking down old structures, old ways of thinking, and this balancing that is taking place. So whether it is the death and rebirth, whether it is some sort of internal transformation, could be connected to you internally, could be connected to your finances that you have externally, so like a mortgage, credit cards, maybe inheritance, the money that you earn, could be balancing all of these things. It easily blends with whatever changes you're making to yourself internally here. Venus in Libra will square Mars in Gemini, and so balancing, it could be balancing your external finances, the money that's coming in, the money that's going out every single month. It's creating some sort of challenge to any kind of action that you want to take in your home environment. And again, this feels a lot like it's financially connected with all that growth and expansion that we saw throughout the month, as far as like maybe doing something to increase the value of your home. It's kind of it's an energy you can work with, but right now the energy seems to be more on like, let's balance out our finances before we take on any kind of additional responsibilities here, or we do anything additional to our home. And then we have Venus in Libra, opposite Neptune, retrograde in Pisces. And so Pisces being your sign, Neptune is the ruler of your sign. And so it's all about your dreams. And with the Neptune retrograde, what you're being able to see right now is, how do you make your dreams a reality? Do you need to go back and rethink any of this? Have the dreams become so unrealistic that there's just no way to ground them here in reality? And so what is happening here is, you might be reconsidering and reevaluating the dreams for yourself, whatever you've envisioned for yourself, because that is your first house, that is your physical self. It is opposite whatever you might be trying to do as it relates to your finances. So the money coming in, the money going out each month, any kind of transformation there. So as you're trying to balance that out, it is opposite to just the life that you've envisioned for yourself, the person that you want to be. And so it's an opposing energy. So it is that push-pull. You can find the happy medium. It just is something that you would have to work with. So Pisces, this is your reading. I hope it resonates. If it did, please like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Take care.